Imagine you are looking at a map, just this old, sprawling, incredibly detailed map of an ancient empire. It's colored in this one single dominant shade, stretching from edge to edge.
Right. It looks super neat, orderly,
Exactly. It projects this aura of just absolute, unshakable control.
which makes sense because, I mean, tidy maps are basically an empire's best friend. Authoritarian structures rely heavily on this illusion that everything fits perfectly into their grand narrative, right?
Yeah.
No messy contradictions, no rebellions, no unassimilated corners.
Yeah, but the moment you take a magnifying glass and just hover it right over this one tiny, seemingly insignificant coastal corner of the map, you realize the illusion is, well, it's just that, an illusion.
There's a glaring exception.
Yep. Welcome to this deep dive. Today is a very specific, deeply significant date in the world of literature and satire. It is August 14th, 2026.
The 100th birth anniversary of Rene Goscinny.
Rene Goscinny,
Yeah.
the genius writer who, along with the brilliant illustrator Albert Uderzo, created the legendary Asterix comics back in 1959.
Oh, yeah.
And if you grew up reading these books, you probably have fond memories of the slapstick humor, the magic potion giving you super strength, and Obelix just casually tossing Roman legionaries into the sky like they were made of paper.
Right. On the surface, it's this beautifully drawn, incredibly fun adventure story. But beneath that slapstick exterior, I mean, there lies this really sophisticated, razor-sharp commentary on how societies function under pressure.
And that is our mission today. We are looking at a phenomenal opinion piece from the Economic Times by Atanu Biswas. And we're going to use his insights to look way beyond the magic potion. We're unpacking how a comic book about a bunch of ancient Gauls actually serves as a masterclass, like a witty, sharp survival guide in resisting modern political propaganda, manipulation tactics, and just the creeping reach of authoritarianism.
Yeah, and every single Asterix book starts with that iconic image you mentioned earlier, the map of Gaul in 50 BC, entirely occupied by the Romans.
Right.
Followed by those 4 crucial words that totally shatter the illusion of control. Well, not entirely.
Well, not entirely. It just sets the scene immediately. Because why does that tiny village bother Julius Caesar so much? I mean, they're not a military threat to Rome. They aren't going to march on the Capitol and overthrow the Senate.
No, they just want to hunt wild boar and be left alone.
Exactly.
But they matter because they refuse to live inside Rome's carefully curated story.
Yeah.
You know, authoritarian power, historically and today, relies heavily on the perception of inevitability.
Right.
Reassuring headlines, tidy histories, this sense that resistance is completely pointless because the empire is absolute. That one small village of indomitable Gauls is a massive psychological thorn in the empire's side.
Just by existing.
Exactly. Their mere existence proves the empire has limits.
And because physical force fails every single time Caesar tries to wipe them off the map, he realizes he has a totally different battlefield available. The history books.
Oh, this is such a good point.
Right. If you can't conquer an exception by force, you just pretend it doesn't exist. You literally write it out of the story. The author points to the 2015 comic Asterix and the Missing Scroll.
Ah, yeah, that's a great one.
Caesar is writing his official history of the Gallic Wars, and there is this incredibly awkward chapter detailing his repeated, humiliating failures against this one tiny village. And instead of addressing it, he simply deletes the chapter.
And notice how there are no dramatic bonfires, like no public burning of books in the town square. It is a very quiet, very deliberate, bureaucratic erasure.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this is exactly how modern PR spin and political manipulation work. It's not always some aggressive, terrifying act of censorship that makes the evening news.
Right.
Often it's just a polite editor's touch. A massive strategic defeat suddenly gets rebranded in a press release as a, quote, strategic adjustment.
Or a total failure of policy becomes a minor misunderstanding of timeline.
Exactly. It's just the backspace key doing the heavy lifting for administration trying to save face.
What's fascinating here is how accurately this mirrors the concept of alternative facts and narrative control in the digital age. Goscinny understood something fundamental here. Controlling the story is often much more important to authoritarians than actually winning the battle on the ground.
Because if you control the narrative, you control the boundaries of reality for the vast majority of the population.
Yeah. People can't rebel against a failure they don't even know happened.
And Goscinny was perfectly primed to understand the mechanics of this, given his own background. He was born in Paris in 1926 to a Jewish family with Polish and Ukrainian roots, and he spent his childhood in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Right, so he watched the rise of totalitarian regimes across the globe in the mid-20th century.
He saw firsthand how official truths were manufactured, enforced, and weaponized.
But rather than writing a heavy, depressing manifesto about the bleakness of authoritarianism, he realized something profound about human psychology. Humor is the ultimate weapon against manufactured certainty.
It's a way to smuggle the truth past the guards, right? Dictators and empires demand total reverence. They require you to take them seriously to project their power. By simply laughing at their self-importance, you strip them of that power.
A laugh is an act of deep defiance. When you mock the pompous Roman bureaucrats or, watch a fearsome centurion get flattened by a menhir, you are challenging the regime's certainty.
You're refusing to be intimidated.
Exactly. Humor breaks the spell of fear.
But when rewriting history fails to actually make the village go away, Caesar has to shift his strategy again. The battlefield moves from the past to the present. He stops attacking the physical walls of the village and starts attacking the minds of the people living inside it. He turns to psychological warfare.
We see this brilliantly executed in Asterix and the Roman Agent from 1970. Caesar realizes his armies are utterly useless against the magic potion.
Right.
So instead of sending legions of armed soldiers, he sends something far more destructive, rumors.
Oh, man. He deploys an agent named Tortuous Convolvulus, whose entire job is to just sow discord. A whisper here, a little suspicion planted there, suggesting that certain villagers are secretly working with the Romans or holding out on the others.
Yep.
Suddenly, without a single sword being drawn, the villagers stop trusting each other. They're literally fighting in the streets.
And the brilliance of this tactic is that nothing physically changes. The village looks exactly the same. The palisade walls are fully intact. The magic potion is still brewing.
But the community is no longer the same.
Right, because the internal bonds are fracturing. Divide and conquer is much cheaper than a frontal assault.
I have to play devil's advocate here, though. Is it really the empire's fault if a community is so easily fractured by a little bit of gossip? Doesn't that actually expose a massive pre-existing weakness in the village itself?
That's a fair question.
I mean, if a few whispered rumors can tear your community apart, you have to ask if you were really that strong to begin with.
That is a highly perceptive critique. And the genius of Goscinny's writing is that he doesn't shy away from that exact reality. The comic doesn't pretend the villagers are perfect, enlightened beings immune to human frailty.
Not at all.
They are deeply flawed, petty, jealous, and highly susceptible to manipulation. Their vulnerability is explored even further, and perhaps more dangerously, in Asterix and the Soothsayer from 1972.
Oh, this is where a smooth-talking prophet arrives in the village during a terrible storm. He offers absolute, unwavering certainty about the future. He makes these loud, confident predictions.
With zero proof.
Exactly. Almost zero evidence to back up anything he's saying, but the villagers just eat it up.
If we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
we have to look at the cognitive mechanisms at play. When a community is under stress, whether it's an ancient Gaulish village in a thunderstorm or a modern society facing economic turmoil, the brain's amygdala essentially hijacks logic. People crave biological relief from anxiety. The soothsayer isn't really selling them facts. He's selling them the illusion of a predictable future. He is lowering their cortisol levels with confident lies.
It's the sheer volume of the confidence that wins people over. They want the comfort of certainty, even if it's entirely fabricated. Goscinny is highlighting a timeless, terrifying reality here. Fear and hope travel much faster than facts.
Oh, absolutely.
In our world today, loud, confident predictions easily drown out nuanced, evidence-based reality. Manipulators know that if they speak with absolute booming certainty, frightened people will follow them simply to feel safe.
But the village eventually snaps out of it, usually thanks to Asterix's grounded skepticism. So the empires tried brute force, they tried historical censorship, they tried psychological warfare through rumors and fear. All of it ultimately falls short.
Right.
What is the empire's next move when a population refuses to be beaten or terrified into submission?
You stop threatening them, and you start bribing them. You give the people exactly what they think they want. You smother them in comfort and wealth until they forget why they were fighting in the first place.
Consumerism as a tool of conquest.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the 1976 comic Obelix & Co. illustrates this flawlessly. Caesar sends a slick, young Roman bureaucrat who is essentially an ancient venture capitalist.
Pretty much, yeah.
He introduces capitalism to a village that operates on a communal barter system. He starts buying menhirs, those giant, heavy-standing stones off Obelix, paying outrageous sums of Roman sestertii for them.
The economic mechanism at play here is fascinating. The Roman creates artificial demand for a completely useless product. Suddenly, Obelix is mass-producing these rocks just to hoard the cash.
And because Obelix is getting rich, the other villagers want in.
Exactly. The social fabric immediately begins to warp.
Neighbors who used to hunt wild boar together slowly transform into bitter, secretive economic competitors. Half the village is making menhirs, and the other half is hunting wild boar just to feed the menhir makers at inflated prices.
It's crazy.
Nobody invaded the village. The village just started invading itself. They didn't need to send a single legionary. They just introduced artificial scarcity and greed.
And they explore this from a slightly different, more structural angle in The Mansions of the Gods from 1971. In that story, Caesar tries to literally surround the village with luxury. He cuts down the surrounding forest to build a massive, high-end Roman housing estate.
Right, hoping they just blend in.
He figures if the village cannot be conquered by military force, maybe it can be absorbed by commerce and proximity.
It's ancient gentrification. You just drown them in convenience.
It is the absolute subtlest, most insidious form of manipulation. You get a community to quietly, willingly forget what made it unique by offering them unlimited access to Roman bathhouses, taverns, and supermarkets.
They don't even realize they are surrendering their sovereignty.
Exactly. They think they're just upgrading their lifestyle. As Atanu Biswas points out in the article, communities are not always destroyed by invading armies. Sometimes they disappear because they slowly, comfortably become something else.
Which forces us to ask the ultimate question. If this one little village is constantly under attack from every conceivable angle, Roman armies, PR erasure, algorithmic-style rumors, deep psychological warfare, and overwhelming consumerist pressure, why doesn't it collapse? What is the actual mechanism saving them from being swallowed by Rome?
Well, Caesar is convinced he knows the answer. Caesar believes the villagers' entire secret is the magic potion. And sure, the potion gives them the physical strength to punch a Roman soldier into the stratosphere.
Sure, it handles the immediate physical threats.
Exactly.
But a magic potion doesn't protect you from a rumor. It doesn't shield your mind from the soothsayer's lies. It certainly doesn't protect you from the greed of a venture capitalist buying up all your menhirs.
No, the real defense against authoritarianism and manipulation isn't magical at all. It is communal trust. And what is absolutely vital to understand here is that this isn't some sanitized, perfect, utopian vision of trust. It is a profoundly messy unity.
Extremely messy.
Yeah.
I mean, think of the characters. You've got Unhygienics, the fishmonger, who insists on importing his fish all the way from Paris via ox cart, even though the village is located right next to the ocean.
Right. Makes no sense.
And he is constantly getting into literal fistfights over the smell of his fish with fully automatics, the local blacksmith.
Yep.
You've got Chief Vital Statistics, who's completely obsessed with ceremony and insists on being carried around on a shield by two men who keep dropping him.
And Obelix is forever whining that he can't have any potion because he fell in the cauldron as a baby.
They are a disaster of interpersonal conflict.
They are forever quarreling, nursing old grievances, and losing their tempers. But Goscinny's underlying point is that the village feels authentic precisely because of this friction. The crucial difference between the Gaulish village and the Roman Empire is that despite all of their bickering, the villagers remember that they belong to one another. Their internal bonds, their loud, flawed, deeply human connections are the true magic potion. That messy unity protects them against external efforts to divide and destroy them.
It is the organic, chaotic unity of a free people versus the neat, enforced, sterile uniformity of authoritarianism. Which actually brings us to a fascinating point about how this comic's legacy operates today.
Oh, yeah.
The article mentions a recent volume, Asterix and Lusitania, published in 2025. This book features a Roman governor named Upwardly Mobilis. Readers and critics immediately spotted that this character shares many behavioral traits and rhetorical styles with Donald Trump.
Right, and this raises an important question. How do we analyze this without turning a literary deep dive into a political debate? And the answer is by looking at the structure of the satire itself.
And I want to be super clear here for everyone listening. We are strictly analyzing the author's point about Goscinny's legacy of satire. We are absolutely not taking political sides here, neither left-wing nor right-wing.
Yeah.
We are just reporting on the analysis.
Absolutely. The author of the article argues that Goscinny built a satirical framework so robust and flexible that it doesn't actually matter what your personal politics are. We aren't analyzing this to endorse or condemn any specific modern political figure. We are looking at how the comic functions as a mirror.
Right.
The beauty of Goscinny's world is that it allows every single generation to recognize its own version of Caesar.
It's a timeless template for identifying overreach. The face of the Roman governor or the specific tactics of the empire might change to reflect whoever is currently dominating the modern political landscape.
Hmm.
But the core dynamic remains completely unchanged.
Yep.
The empire, whether ancient or modern, corporate or political, always demands conformity and absolute control. And the village always insists on the right to be the exception.
The brilliance of the satire is that it challenges the very definition of imperial success. It asks us to consider whether power is truly absolute, if ordinary people can still find ways to navigate around it, mock it, and maintain their local identities.
Yeah.
And that enduring dynamic of resistance is beautifully, consistently summarized at the end of every single book.
The banquet. I absolutely love the final frame of these comics. Doesn't matter how chaotic the story was, it always ends with the exact same scene. A massive, heavy wooden table set beneath the evening sky in the center of the village.
Why is that image so important, though? Why make it the definitive closing statement of every adventure?
So what does this all mean? Let's paint the picture for you. You have this huge communal supper, fires are roaring, they are eating massive quantities of roasted wild boar.
Sounds pretty great.
Right. Dogmatics, the tiny environmentalist dog, is wandering around beneath their feet hoping for scraps. Friends who were literally punching each other in the face over smelly fish just 2 pages ago are now sitting shoulder to shoulder, laughing, passing food, and sharing a meal.
And of course, poor Cacophonix, the bard, is inevitably tied to a tree in the background with a gag in his mouth, purely because his singing is horrendous and the village just wants to eat in peace.
It is a picture of profound, joyous resilience. You have to contrast that image with what is happening simultaneously in Rome. While the Gauls are sitting around that wooden table eating boar and laughing under the stars, Caesar is likely sitting in a cold marble palace, anxiously drafting another triumphant, highly edited bulletin about his glorious, unquestioned rule.
But at this table, nobody cares about Caesar's bulletins. The empire's vast wealth, its sophisticated propaganda machine, its relentless ambition to paint the entire map one color, none of it has any power at the wooden banquet table.
None of it.
That is the ultimate synthesis of René Goscinny's legacy. Community trust, authentic friendship, and the ingrained habit of thinking for yourself will always outlast imperial ambition. That Gaulish village isn't just a physical place drawn on a fictional map, it is a state of mind.
I love that.
It represents the inherent power of ordinary people to look at authoritarian ambition, look at the demand for absolute conformity and say, well, not entirely.
It truly is survival guide, disguised as a cartoon. We've talked about the mechanics of how empires try to rewrite history with the editor's touch. We've explored the psychology of how they use rumors and the false comfort of certainty to divide us.
Right.
We've seen how they try to sell us our own menhirs to drown our independent identities in consumerism and convenience. It happened in 50 BC, and it happens in the boardrooms and political arenas of today.
The tactics of manipulation haven't changed, but as the comic shows us, neither has the most effective defense against them.
Which leaves us with a final, vital thought for you to take away and mull over. We live in a modern world filled with digital empires actively trying to edit our reality. We are surrounded by algorithmic rumors specifically designed to hijack our amygdalas and fracture our communities.
Oh, constantly.
We are constantly offered endless conveniences meant to make us forget what really matters. In the face of all that, who are the people sitting at your personal wooden banquet table? And more importantly, what are you doing today to actively protect that messy, beautiful human space from the empires outside?
Until next time.